It is Sunday evening, 7 p.m., in the Burnhaudt study. To the left on the stage is the study. To the right is the kitchen. As the lights emerge on the study, we see Chaim Burnhaudt, who is sitting at his desk. He is exhausted. His head is resting on the desk. Suddenly, Chaim looks up and around to see if his wife Sarah is nearby. After seeing that she's not there, he looks towards you, the audience. Sarah, my wife, she must have gone to bed. I got good in here. I put her through hell this weekend, beginning this past Friday morning, 2 days ago. She must be so tired, she went schlafen. I don't blame her. She's been a saint to have put up with me. No one else would have done that. The last thing I remember Sarah telling me was that she purchased 2 airline tickets to Minneapolis, St. Paul in emergency this afternoon for early tomorrow morning, Monday. She wants us to go visit our 25-year-old son, who's Daniel, who's the youngest of 3 children, and he's a struggling single Orthodox rabbi out there. Apparently, he wound up in a hospital emergency room last night after having severe panic attacks and obsessive-compulsive symptoms related to the number 18, which means Chai, or life in Hebrew, you know that. Anyway, Daniel really doesn't want us to come out there, but Sarah insists we go. Go tell her Jewish mother not to worry about her son. So we're going. Sarah brought me back home about 2 hours ago, in the late afternoon, from a local park, Prospect Park. You probably know it, here in Brooklyn, New York. And it's near our home, and she found me schlafen. She found me sleeping on the park bench where I had been sitting all day long, and I was wearing a sign that said, "Trust me, I'm not Meshugeneh, crazy." I had to read this, but there's a reason I wore this sign. I'll get to that later, I'll tell you. Before Sarah found me, I remember dozing off after my nurse at the hospital, Samantha, my head nurse, called me to tell me about one of our patients named Dr. Jake Fisher. So he's a physician who we admitted last Wednesday or Thursday for alcohol dependence and major depression. And Sarah and I happen to know Jake and his family quite well. They lived near us when Jake was young, a little boy. And he and our son Daniel went to public school together and were the best of friends. They played stickball together, softball, b-ball, you name it. Anyway, eventually Jake went off to college and medical school while Daniel attended rabbinical school. And anyway, I understood in seeing Jake that he just couldn't tolerate the stress of working as a physician anymore and being a husband with 2 kids and 2 children, trying to raise a family. It's gefährlich, it's terrible. So Samantha's call put me over the edge. I was beside myself. I just couldn't take it anymore, hearing about what happened to Jake, which is why I went to sleep on the park bench. But the weekend didn't begin with Sarah's call. Or Samantha's call, I should say, not Sarah. But anyway, come over here to the kitchen. We'll go over to the kitchen. I'll tell you, we'll relive what happened here. So come with me. Here, Zedstov, sit down next to me. I'll get you some coffee and some Danish. We talk, keep it a little, okay? Anyway, it began about 2 days ago, Friday morning, right here, when Sarah and I were having our coffee and Danish together before we went to work. You see, Sarah's a psychiatric social worker, at a local yeshiva or Hebrew school. And she has 3 more years before she can retire. And me, I'm a big macher. I've been the chief psychiatrist at Mount Meshugeneh Hospital. It's a psychiatric hospital here in Brooklyn, New York, since 1978. So anyway, I remember Sarah sharing her concerns about me that morning because I'd become so irritable and tired. I was sleeping poorly. I had severe back pain for weeks. Even now it hurts. I talk about it. I gotta grab my back. Anyway, it still hurts. Terrible. Sarah wished she could help me, but I told her, look, darling, you couldn't help me because the stress of each day was becoming unbearable. I couldn't keep up with things. There's a lot on my mind, I told her. She knew that the hospital admitted Jake Fisher the day before. And Sarah, she became shocked about this. She said, I'm sure his parents are beside themselves. Only last month I told Sarah that I ran into his father, Dr. Fisher, who's also a doctor, He told me that their son Jake was under a lot of stress. And Sarah recalled, remembering back how Jake and our son Daniel were just like brothers. And anyway, speaking of our son, Daniel, I asked Sarah if she heard from him lately. It had been quite cold out there in Minnesota, and Sarah told me that Daniel called Thursday night after I went to bed, and he's been quite upset. He's been quite upset, and it's really hard getting people in his congregation to come to synagogue on Saturdays, on Shabbos. And so Daniel thinks that they'd rather stay home, and especially with this pandemic, this coronavirus, it's gefährlich. Nobody wants to come. Plus, they have to sit there for like 6 feet apart. He's lucky he gets a minyan, 10 people, to get into his shul. It's impossible to have people there. Anyway, people, even if the virus wasn't there, people have other priorities than praying. So I told Sarah, I said, look, Sarah, I think Daniel's better off organizing prayer groups at Alcoholic Anonymous meetings. More people attend AA and Narcotics Anonymous NA than synagogues and churches put together. Sarah said to me, she said, Chaim, if you think us Jews have it bad, just imagine how Pope Francis feels these days with all the sex abuse scandals. Mamik is meine Tochter. And then, I said to her, if I were the Pope Francis, every night I would take a nice bottle of Italian Chianti from Tuscany, go to the Sistine Chapel after everyone gone, lay down, let the doors, lay down, look towards the ceiling, then get verkackt, bombed while listening to Pavarotti all night long. I reminded Sarah that Daniel's been in Minnesota only 9 months, like a pregnant woman, And I wondered about that Tuesday night Bible study class of his he was trying to get off the ground. So Sarah told me that it's the same thing, Chaim. People keep asking our son if he could do it online so they don't have to leave their homes to attend. They're lazy, make it easy for everybody. Baruch Hashem, thank goodness Daniel learned how to perform circumcisions. Well, Sarah didn't know how else he'd be able to make ends meet. I said, make ends meet? I asked. I said, performing circumcisions? What other ends would Daniel use a scalpel for, Sarah? At least, when he performs circumcisions, he meets his congregants face to face, and he gets a cut of the action. Well, Sarah didn't think that was funny. She thought that Daniel really needed to find a wife, a nice chain of maidlet, because rabbis' wives know how to take charge. She could help Daniel convince people to attend shul, synagogue, fundraise, get their kinderlet, their children to attend Hebrew school. No. So I asked Sarah, I said, is Daniel meeting anybody? No. Well, she said, Chaim, unfortunately, most young people don't meet person to person anymore. She told me that he had tried several different online dating services, but Daniel told her that, many single Jewish women, the maidlet, they get scared when they see an online picture of him with a long beard, wearing glasses, a skull cap. I asked her if they thought he looked too Jewish. Sarah thought that was possible. He sometimes hangs out at the local Starbucks there in the St. Louis Park, and he makes believe he's working on his laptop Then he drinks exactly 18 cups of coffee while looking around to see if any some women are checking him out. And then he even goes to the local supermarket there and walks up and down the kosher section, aisle 18 times, as if he needs 18 different cans of chicken soup, just to see if the women who come by purchase kosher foods. I told Sarah that I thought Daniel had an obsessive-compulsive disorder with the number 18. She didn't think so. For Daniel to be stuck on the number 18, which means life in Hebrew, is a blessing, not a curse, she says. I was sure Daniel would meet someone in time, and that he'd be fine. You see, I had to tell Sarah that here I am, a big macha psychiatrist. No, what else could I do to help my family? Neither she nor I slept well at nights worrying about our youngest son, Daniel. Sarah gained a lot of weight, and I worried about her and him too, but unlike Sarah, I take antidepressants to sleep ever since he moved to Minnesota last September. Geez, when I was 25, I look back, I was married, had 2 children, a stable career, a house. No, now, what does our son Daniel have that's stable? A declining religious attendance, performing circumcisions, having OCD? What's next for him? I asked Sarah if our eldest son Jacob, daughter Brenda, and their families were coming for dinner Saturday night. Sarah said, they may. Then she demanded that if Jacob and Elizabeth, that's our granddaughter, brought Stacy, Elizabeth is our daughter-in-law. Oh, yeah, I get them mixed up. I'm sugar in a cup. But Stacy, that's our granddaughter. I wouldn't make fun of the fact that her breasts have grown so so fast. She's a very sensitive teenager. So listen to this. Her mother, Elizabeth, our daughter-in-law, told Sarah that Stacy's friends make fun of her at school because she's way ahead of them in their, the breast development. Oh, for goodness sake. Sarah couldn't even say the word breast, as if it's a curse word. Instead, she mimicked like this. She puts her hands down like she has arthritis. Now, would I say something like that to her, Sarah? Now, our granddaughter is Stacy. She's a beautiful young girl. Yeah. Shena. But can she get competitive with her girlfriends? Last Sunday, I took her and 3 of her supposed girlfriends to the mall. Each one of them, now wearing masks, they tell you, okay? Because the mall just opened up. Each one of them was texting on their cell phone as they walked down the mall aisle. Not one of them looked at each other or where they were going. After about 50 yards, I couldn't take it any longer. I pulled Stacy over to the side of the mall and asked her just what the heck she was doing. And she told me that she and 2 of these friends were texting back and forth about how the other supposed friend walking them was a real bitch, a real mamza. Can you imagine that? The friend bitch had absolutely no idea these girls were talking about. Teenage girls can be so cruel. All right, I won't say anything about Stacy's. And I mocked my, arthritic breasts, putting my hands down to show Sarah because she's so embarrassed about saying the word breast. You have chicken breasts, but I don't see the problem with this. Anyway, Sarah reassured me that I really don't have to work so hard anymore. I'm 67 years old already. I said, go tell that to people out there trying to cope with life these days, with the virus, with depression, with suicide, with alcohol, with losing jobs. It's gefährlich. It's terrible. Sarah reminded me that my working full-time at the hospital was becoming too much. I said, Sarah, I can't catch up with my progress notes or on the Epic, the billing system, or those damn emails. I mean, the last time I checked, I had about 10,000 emails on my laptop stemming back to January 2016. I said, I get another 15 emails every 10 minutes. It pisses me off. Sarah observed I'd become so angry. I am angry, I said. I have absolutely no control over things, and my damn muscle spasms are getting worse with the anger. Nothing I do makes them improve. My trying to keep up with work demands doesn't help either, Sarah. I'm clear I've lost my drive, and that I've become so irritable at everybody, including you, my darling Shana. I'd return home from the hospital each day and go straight to my computer, catch up on patient emails and notes, and if I didn't, I'd fall way behind. I told her I don't even have time to read the newspaper anymore. How could I tell her that there was a rumor going around that the hospital, this Meshugeneh Hospital, might be sold? If so, I might be out of a job, a position, a big macha position I'd held for over 40 years. And I told Sarah I felt, oh no, I didn't tell her. I was talking to you. I'm not talking to Sarah. I told myself I felt for all these hospital staff in their 40s and 50s. Who'd hire them, for God's sakes? I mean, full time at their ages. And what about my career? If I was going to let go, then what would I do next? I didn't want to simply prescribe medications at 10 minutes per patient. I'd feel like a drug dealer doing that. Plus, the feds, they're all after everybody for prescribing these days. All you need is one patient whom you allegedly trust, then boom. The whole thing falls apart. You find out they're overdosing or selling their meds on the streets. Who needs that stuff? Before you know it, you're being investigated. If I told her that I was losing my job, her anxiety would have gone through the roof. So, when I think about this stage of my life, it makes me want to consider leaving everything just to sit on a park bench all day and simply talk to anyone who'd show up. Of course, these days I'd have to wear a sign on the front of my shirt that states, "Trust me, I'm not Meshugeneh or crazy." So now you understand how I wound up wearing that sign this morning. I told Sarah this, and she said I sounded depressed. No, I wasn't depressed. Mad? Yes. Going crazy? Maybe. Sarah said that I hadn't stopped yelling at her all week long, and son Jacob called the other day, and she said that he sounded depressed too. I said, "Damn it, I'm not depressed, Sarah, for God's sake." Sarah apologized, then informed me that Jacob said to her when he was reading some emails that his son, our grandson Aaron, turned to him and said, "Dad, why don't you talk to us anymore? You're always looking at that cell phone." You know, Sarah, Aaron is absolutely right. Jacob should attend phone anonymous meetings if they created such a thing. I stand up and I say, "Hello, my name is Jacob, and I'm a phone addict. Welcome, and thank you for having me here." But who the hell is Aaron to say that to his father, huh? His papa. I remember the time he stayed over with us one weekend, with Sarah and I, and he played video games on his Nintendo Switch all night long. One point, he excused himself at dinner and said he wanted to go to the bathroom. He stayed in there for almost 3 hours. Then I finally knocked on the bathroom door and I asked, "Aaron, what the hell are you doing in there so long?" He told us he was having terrible bouts of constipation. Well, after that long time, he finally flushed the toilet, then came out of the bathroom, trying to hide his Nintendo Switch under his shirt, as if he couldn't really tell what he was doing. We couldn't tell what he was doing all that time. I mean, it would have been one thing if he stayed in the bathroom just to play with himself, but to be in there for almost 3 hours playing video games, something wasn't right there. So Sarah then asked me if I could try to keep up with my progress notes at work after I saw each patient. Then when I came home, I'd take a shower, relax, get into my pajamas, bathrobe, then we'd have a nice, enjoyable night together. Maybe our own wine, eh? I said, "I'd love to, Sarah, but don't get on me if I can't do it. I'll try my best. Maybe we can watch a nice TV show or series if we can find one among the 5,000 fucking stations they have here." Oi, Sarah didn't appreciate me cursing like that. All of a sudden, the phone rang. "Hello?" "Oh, hello, darling. It's Brenda." "Yes, oh, that's wonderful, sweetheart." What did she say? "Brenda and Mark can come Saturday night." "Are you bringing Jesse?" Yes, they are. "Your mother and I are delighted." "What's that? You're asking if it would be okay if Jesse can bring his Nintendo Switch?" "What do you think, Sarah?" "Okay, I'll ask. Now, has Jesse had any particular problems this week with constipation?" "No? Good. I'm very glad." "No, sir. No, he doesn't." "Now, wait a minute. Does Jesse, for any reason, play with his penis, his pecker, for up to 3 hours at a time?"